Hi, my name is Heather McAndrew. Welcome to our new channel, Twisted Crimes. We decided to create this channel because, well, I've been intrigued with crimes and murders since the age of 15. Used to watch a lot of Cold Case Files and Dr. G, Medical Examiner. While I went to high school, I took public safety. Then I went on to college to study anatomy and physiology and psychology.
Hello, my name is Chris McAndrew. I'm a former reporter for a CBS affiliate that was located here in Georgia called News Channel 32. During my time as a reporter, I studied and covered quite a few twisted crimes, but I don't think I covered any quite as twisted as this one that we are covering right now. This is the story of Debbie Collier. She sent a very strange Venmo message to her daughter. Several hours later, she was reported missing. The next day, her body was found. We're going to take you to the crime scene, as well as many other locations around Georgia. This is Twisted Crimes.
59-year-old Debbie Collier worked here as a front office manager.
This is called Carriage House Realty. It's located in Athens. Her desk probably would have been right through this door here. Is where she would have greeted people, answered phones, and things like that. Now, she had a son and a daughter. Her son was living in Maryland. Her daughter was also living in Maryland up until 2 days before Debbie went missing. That's when her daughter, Amanda Bearden, along with her boyfriend, Andrew Geigerich, moved back from Maryland to Georgia. The next day, this is Friday, September 9th, the day before Debbie goes missing, they met up with her for lunch. Now, what was discussed at that lunch, we're not so sure about that.
We're at the home where Debbie and Steve lived at the time of her disappearance.
This is kind of on the north side of Athens. There's a loop that goes all the way around Athens, and this is just north of that loop. There's a place called Sandy Creek that's near here, and not too far up the road is a place called J&J Flea Market, which is a really large flea market here in town. Their home is going to be right up there in the woods. I'm going to go down here a little bit further. Now let's go through the timeline a little bit. We had, of course, on the 8th, her daughter and her boyfriend Andrew moved back into town. On the 9th, they met up with Debbie. So Debbie would have left here and gone to meet up with them to grab lunch somewhere. And there was a discussion. We don't know what was said in that discussion. We don't know what was said throughout that day. Then apparently they did some errands, maybe did some shopping. Perhaps that's when they went to the Family Dollar. Amanda and her mother would have gone to the Family Dollar to buy some supplies, cleaning supplies and things like that for the house. Now, the house they're moving into is actually a condo that's owned by Steve Collier. And that's one that they've lived at off and on quite a bit through the years. There you see apparently Steve's red truck up there, right there, and right over there is the black Ranger. Now that Ranger, interestingly, was in some sort of an accident with Debbie driving. Now the last reported one was back in April 30th, of some kind of accident she was involved in. However, her sister calls from Alabama and says that Amanda had told her she was in an accident about a month ago. This involved an ex-con who ran into her truck and paint spilt all over the place, apparently on the truck. Now, the sister says this guy did not want her to report this incident to the police because he's an ex-con and because he is not supposed to be driving. That was part of his agreement of his parole. He's not supposed to be driving. He did not want this reported to the police. Of course, she had to report it to the police because it messed up, damaged her truck. There's a look at their house right there. Now over here we have noticed what could be an investigator. We're not sure. It's a blacked out Ford. It's been parked here for a while now because we came into the neighborhood a little bit ago and drove around. And he's been parked there the entire time. The engine is running. You can see something coming out of the exhaust. Heather was able to see him and he looks like he's got a bald head. Big guy. Shaved head.
Like he could be law enforcement.
Could be law enforcement staking out the house, so we're not sure why or what he's up to. He's got his hand on the steering wheel right now looking at us, wondering what the heck we're up to. So this neighborhood circles all the way around Rocky Drive. Comes in here and circles all the way around. If you would come in and go right to the left there, that's where the apparent detective apparently is parked. Someone not sure who, and that's where their house would have been. This is the home where 36-year-old Amanda and her boyfriend Andrew live. The home is owned by her stepfather, Steve Collier, who is Debbie's husband. They both have dealt with police on several occasions in the past. At this duplex in May of last year, Amanda told police Andrew had broken into her home, attacked her physically, and yelled at her. Police took photos of bruises. She showed them on her arm and shoulders. Andrew was charged with battery, while Amanda was charged with filing a false police report because he was actually living at the house at the time. Amanda also showed police a handwritten note in green ink, which she said Andrew wrote, that included the line, "If you or your family ever come near me again, I will hurt them." At the time, one of the officers wrote, "Geigerich and Bearden have a family violence relationship." Then in September of last year, Amanda called police saying Andrew was banging on her front door at 8:30 a.m., ordering her to give him his money that she had stolen from him. He claims she was stealing his money and buying drugs with it.
Living here?
I haven't recently, but she's still been taking money from my card. And that's the only reason we've had any contact, because every week she takes $500 or $600 from my check. And I just don't see how that's right. And she goes and does dope with my money. Now I've made over $30,000-$40,000 this year, and I'm completely broke because she spends it all on drugs. And can I just leave if she's not going to give me my stuff? I really haven't. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, because beating on somebody's door this early, cause you've seen it. I just want to be done with her. She's been cheating on me. She's been doing drugs. I've never done any drugs in my life.
Have y'all had police involved before in y'all's business?
Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to get my money back, because we're not supposed to have contact, but she's taking $500 each check.
Why aren't y'all supposed to have contact, Andrew?
Because...
Is there like a court order?
I guess so. I don't know. I went to court a while back, but...
Did you get arrested?
I've been arrested before. Well, the last time I got arrested was because they falsified whatever. I mean, her mom... Dude, I don't know what the issue is here. I don't know why I'm so unliked. This girl got hit by a car, and I'm taking care of her. I don't know what the problem is.
Let's get in the shade.
And just last month on September 16th, Andrew, who is a former amateur MMA fighter, was arrested for probation violation. When he was released after 6 days in jail, he was ordered to show proof of substance abuse treatment within 20 days. Amanda also has other arrests on her record going back quite a few years. In 2008, she was arrested for fighting with a different boyfriend. She agreed to take part in a pretrial intervention program, and those charges were later dropped. In 2012, she was arrested again. This time she was charged with disorderly conduct, simple battery, misdemeanor battery, and criminal trespass. Her boyfriend at the time told police he had to hold her back, and she broke his video game. Police found handprints on both of his arms, as well as marks on his back and chest. Bearden said everything was her fault. She pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct and was able to get the other charges dropped while being put on probation for 12 months. She also had to have no contact with the boyfriend and take anger management courses.
On Saturday, September 10th at 3:17 p.m., Amanda got a surprise notification from Venmo saying she had received $2,385 from her mom. It also came with a message that said, "They are not going to let me go. Love you. There is a key to the house in the blue flower pot by the door." After Amanda received the money and the text message, she then called her mom's phone, which was turned off, and then she decided to go look at some of her mom's favorite places, which was Walmart and Ulta Beauty.
Now this is the Ulta Beauty, that really the only one in the area that's anywhere near their houses, right here. This is in Oconee County. It's an 11-minute drive from Amanda's house, from her condo, to this Ulta Beauty. Now right over here, you can't see it from here, but just believe us when we say over in that direction is the Walmart store. It's probably 2 miles from here at most.
About a 4-minute drive.
About a 4-minute drive, right, from here. Those are the two that she mentions. Now that doesn't mean she didn't go to other places and look or anything else, because this is a period that took up about 3 hours. got the Venmo just after 3, called 911, or actually Steve, her stepfather, called 911 just after 6. So you're talking about almost a 3-hour period. Now, I'd say checking out this parking lot, just a large parking lot, but if you're thinking she's at Ulta, you would just check basically in this general vicinity here. Checking out this parking lot, driving over to Walmart, checking out that parking lot would probably be a period of maybe
20 minutes or so.
20, 30 minutes.
Because she'd probably go into the store if she saw another van that was like that, like her mother's.
To see if her mom's in there. Because it is a rental vehicle, so she might not know exactly what it looks like. But even now, we can look around and clearly see very quickly there's no vehicle that looks like that in this area of the parking lot. Now, you would have to go down and check out some of the other aisles as well. So we'll give her, say, 30 minutes checking them out. Then it's an 11-minute drive from her house, so that's another 22 minutes. You're looking at maybe an hour to do all that. So then you have a question of what was she doing the other couple of hours. Also, did she end up at the house before Steve? Because Steve said her daughter is here. Now, did Steve show up home from the game and the daughter was already there? And Steve also pointed out that the daughter went upstairs and checked for her purse, said the purse was still there, checked for various other things, said the driver's license was still there. This is what Steve said on the 911 call. Let's listen to a little bit of that call right now.
For Handy 911.
Yes. Came home, my wife wasn't home, her driver's license still in there, the rental car's gone, and her daughter's here, and we were kind of worried about what's happening and where she's at. I was wondering if you could send somebody over here. And according to her daughter, who went up and her purse is still here with her driver's license. The only thing is the phone is gone, and she sent her daughter a text about 2 hours ago saying they won't let me go. Whatever that means, we don't know. And I've been gone all day parking cars for the football game.
Okay, so she sent your daughter a text message saying that
My stepdaughter.
that they won't let her go.
Yeah, she got a text message saying that.
You just returned home, right?
Yes, I just returned home. I was parking cars until about 4:30, and when I came back, the van that she had rented because her car was in the shop was gone. I figured she was shopping for food.
Okay, so and her car is there?
Pardon me? Her van's not here.
Okay. But her driver's license and what else is there?
Right. Yeah, her driver's license is here.
What else did she leave? For the purse or anything else?
Yeah, she left her purse, and her credit cards are here.
Okay, your stepdaughter, did she see her?
No, nobody has seen her. I was probably the last person to see her last night.
What time? Is it 9 o'clock last night?
Yeah, about 9 o'clock we went to bed.
Debbie was driving a Chrysler Pacifica rented from Enterprise on the day she went missing. This was because her truck was in the shop from the accident she was in previously. Police spotted the vehicle on the Tallulah Falls school camera that afternoon.
This is the camera at Tallulah Falls School right there. Assumption being that it's the one that the vehicle was pictured on. That would have been at 2:17 p.m. I guess these cameras were just put up recently, like in the last few months, from what I read somewhere.
We're in Clayton, Georgia. This is where Debbie Collier was last seen alive.
This is the Family Dollar store where she bought many of the items that would later be found at the crime scene. Right over here is the exact security camera outside of the Family Dollar where Debbie was last seen alive. Came from that camera there. It's actually good, high quality security footage. Here's the Family Dollar store. And then we're going to count over from that middle area. There was the van parked right in this area here. Someone was getting out of the van. Then there were 1, 2, 3 more people parked, which would have meant Debbie Collier would have been parked in this spot right here. Now, when she leaves the store, she sits in the car for a few minutes, then she begins backing up and kind of stops in this area right here. It was a very slow backup. It could be because it's a rental vehicle. She was going slowly in it. Didn't really understand the vehicle very well, but she stopped right there for just a second. Then she pulls right over here to the left side of this pole and parks right in this area here. Now, when you time up the video to that time, it matches up exactly to when that Venmo was sent at 3:17 p.m. that afternoon, which indicates that this is the spot where that Venmo and that message, "They are not going to let me go, love you," and the key is under the blue flower pot outside the door, would have been sent right here, if indeed it was sent by her. But the timing does match up. All right, she leaves from here and makes her way through the parking lot and over here. Now, the next interesting thing to happen is she kind of veers off to the right when she gets over in this area over here. And the question is, why does she do that? Why did she not continue to travel straight forward? Somewhere like right in that area there, she veers off to the right and then leaves. Now, I've heard it suggested it could be because of a camera, and sure enough, there is another one of those high definition cameras right over here below the food bank sign. You can see it right there. So let's say someone is in the vehicle with Debbie and is telling her what to do. They could have told her to pull off there because they noticed that camera right over there. She would have pulled off straight through here, then back out onto the road, sat there for just a minute, and took off in that direction, which is south on 441.
While at the Family Dollar, Debbie bought a poncho, which would have been right here by the front door. She also bought a blue tarp, a refillable lighter, a red tote bag, and a couple rolls of paper towel. Police say most of those items were later found at the crime scene. We are heading southbound on 441, which is the same direction Debbie was headed, until she decided to make a U-turn right up here past the median. Then she ended up at the crime scene.
Now, of course, the reason for that U-turn is there's this median that's in the way. She can't directly pull into the crime scene from that direction, which is just another twist to this case. She's heading southbound and sees this random logging road off to the right side of the road and decides she's going to go there with what she just purchased, the Family Dollar, the poncho, the red tote bag, the lighter. Just a weird case all the way around. But here is the crime scene right here. We're pulling up to it now. And you can see some people have left some mementos across and different things, flowers for Debbie. You see, we see the first signs, crime scene tape. You can see the car right up there. We're not far from the road. Here's the first sign of any kind of crime scene tape right here. Some downed trees. And we see some more right there and there. Seems like this trail has been used quite a bit. You can see the outline of the trail through here. More crime scene tape up ahead. Yes, good many limbs down.
It's difficult to get through, especially if you're going in a fast pace.
And I've always wondered, since I was first studying up on this case, is how would they have carried the body? Because some of the initial assumptions were that her body was wrapped in that blue tarp and someone would have carried her down here. But this is rough terrain and we're getting further and further away from the roadway up there where her rented van was found. Seems like a hard area to come through. Now, we had heard that Debbie had a bad back and would not have been able to make this kind of walk, but I think that information only came from her daughter, Amanda Bearden. So, not sure how reliable that would be. Also, I don't know if we're kind of seeing more crime tape there and over there. I'm not sure if we're circling around the crime scene. We'll just keep following this tape. You can still hear cars going by, but this is getting further and further from the road, and this wood area is pretty thick. As you can see here, you can't see the road up there. Now here we have a couple of trees that have been recently cut down, which could have something to do with this. You see the marking there, and over here, these trees were cut down. And we're just gonna keep following this tape as we get further into the woods here. There's some more trees that have been cut down. You see these have been recently cut. Through there. Not sure why. And the path continues on. Definitely good ways from the road now. Now, of course, no one driving by is going to hear or see anything when you get this far down. That was one of the things I was wondering about. You're not going to be able to hear or see what's going on way down here. But what I did have a question about is this occurring in the middle of the daytime. This road is very busy. Cars are constantly coming through here. And you would think that someone would have seen, if it was more than just Debbie getting out, they would have seen, or seen her getting out to come down here, unless they waited for an opening. Maybe kept her in the car, told her to wait until there was an opening, then went out. Find a down tree that would have had burdens around it. I think it's right down there. It's really further than I was expecting it to be, isn't it?
Me too. I thought it was going to be a lot closer.
It's a good trip from the road down to here.
I was definitely way wrong reaching the tree back there.
Yeah. So we are now up to,
See the gloves that the investigators.
yeah, there's gloves there. You can see some rocks through here, and then this is the tree that has burning all around it. And you see burn marks all through here as well. Look at this. These appear to be the paper towels.
Part of the tarp too.
Paper towels here. We told you that Debbie bought a couple rolls of paper towels at the Family Dollar.
Burnt up tarp right there.
Here's some burnt up tarp. This is the tarp that also would have been purchased at the Family Dollar. A little surprising they would actually leave this behind. Now this must be perhaps part of the red tote bag that she bought at the Family Dollar. You see more of the tarp right here, and the gloves, and more of these paper towels. You can see that they have been burned. Perhaps they were used as kindling for the fire, and you see fire marks on this, the ball of this tree, the root ball of this tree going up. We're gonna see, I'd say this is about, what do you think, 4 feet high?
Yeah. 4 or 5.
4 to 5 feet high right there. Now over here we have a tree that's been cut. Another one, we'll see
There's some
another
marks on that branch too.
another one there. Yeah, there's burn marks further down. We're gonna get down to that. You see this tree has been cut. Not sure by who. Looks relatively smooth. Not sure if it's a chainsaw or something else, but it does look pretty smooth. And you see, now is this, I don't know if this is exactly where, if they cut a piece of it off. right in here.
Doesn't have the same angle on it, and it's not the same color.
So that's there. Now we go down here and we see another remnants of a fire right here with blue gloves, protective gloves. Look at the fire markings here all over these branches, and it appears to be on the ground right here. Evidence of a fire there. So could the fire have started here where they set her on fire, set her clothing on fire, or her using the paper towels to help start the fire? Then she could have fallen down through here and ended up there perhaps. Not sure what this tree has to do with it. And perhaps this is where her body was found, grasping onto a small tree. Her right hand was grasping to a small tree.
You see, it looks like it's charred on the ground.
Yeah, it's charred on the ground there. And see something there. I don't know if that's flesh.
I bet that's the spot.
Right there on the tree branch. So she could have very well started here getting burned, slid down the hill and grabbed her right hand onto one of these small tree branches. She was grasping a small tree, which there are several options here, but you know, could have been this one. This one also has, look at that, burning all over it. This one's got burning on it. There's burning in the leaves all up through here. Kind of creepy to be at this scene. We're gonna walk down a little further. We see some more gloves here. See lots of mosquitoes down here. And here's the little stream trickling through way down below. But I don't see anything down here that would indicate that this area was part of it. There's no gloves, no crime scene tape. Right by a quiet little stream. It's where someone left Debbie Collier to die. Alone in the woods. It rained a good deal on Sunday, the day she was found. Crime scene's right down there. We're walking our way back up. Heather noticed an old arrow right here. Not sure if that would have anything to do with anything. And the other thing I wanted to point out, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but it might just be from police traipsing through here, but this seems like a path. You know? Almost like a path that might have been here for a little while that different people may have used over time. But you can almost follow right down to the crime scene and then right back out the spot where Amanda parked. Boy, it is a good little walk.
It really is. And it's on a slant too.
Yeah, going downhill and
A lot of debris in the way.
yeah.
Mentioned.
Would have been extremely difficult for one person to carry a body and a tarp through here.
And we use the tarp for lawn care, and they often get torn apart pretty easily going traveling over this path.
That's a good point. If you were dragging it, tarp would be tearing up along the way.
Especially
Now,
with heaviness added to it.
we haven't seen any indication of the tarp pieces of it anywhere. Now, they could have picked that up, but based on the actual crime scene down there, I don't know how much. They obviously didn't pick up everything, which is strange. You'd think you would take all the evidence,
Yeah.
but I guess they figured they had enough. Now, on another note with that, they say they're a full service sheriff's department. They handle these kinds of crimes, but you have to wonder, we haven't seen any crime like this really. This is crazy. So you have to assume they haven't seen a crime like this too often, if ever. Probably never quite like this. Now, they could ask for assistance from the GBI. There's the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and locally here in Georgia, there's something called the GBI, which is the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. They have not requested that the FBI assist with this case. They have, I think the FBI might be helping, the GBI might be helping with autopsy and things like that, but they are not directly investigating this case. And if they can't solve this thing, you would hope that they will ask for some assistance from the GBI eventually. Maybe get somebody in here who's handled this stuff more so than they would have in their particular sheriff's department.
I feel like they should have brought him out to begin with something this complex. I mean, you can tell it's a lot more complex than, like you said, your average murder.
Right, and the complexity of it, they made that clear in the press conference on Friday, where they pointed out that this case is not going to be solved anytime soon. Don't expect it to be solved anytime soon. So we're talking, could be weeks, months before this is solved. You wonder if they've got, which I think they do, have some people in their crosshairs. They have pointed out that this is a deliberate act. It was targeted at Debbie Collier. This, in their opinion, is not the act of a serial killer. Is not a violence, random act of violence.
Not a kidnapping.
Not a kidnapping. Not a suicide. All the evidence points away from all of those things and points back to being someone that's probably close to Debbie. And from what we understand, there aren't a whole lot of people that are real close to Debbie around Athens. So that leaves a relatively small, you would think, list of suspects who could have done this. Now, the one other thing we want to point out, I think it's something called Victory House, which we can show it to you when we get back on the road. But you can see the path continues that way. It would not surprise me, and this path looks really worn. It would not surprise me if people from Victory House use this path to come back here and hang out sometimes. I think it's called Victory House, Victory Home. And this is a rehab place for males. I believe it's Christian-oriented rehab place. They also have a retail store. They have a thrift store there on site. But these are people that are suffering from addictions. I think mainly drug addictions, but could be alcohol too. So you wonder if that could play a role in any of this.
And maybe they come back here and use.
Possible.
So they would already know the route.
More stuff here at the entranceway. And we're back to the road. Such a sad ending for Debbie Collier.
And to think that her car was right here, and then she had to be dragged or taken down there. I mean, if the tarp's down there, you'd imagine she was drugged at some point. How crazy is this?
Yeah, somehow they got the body. Now, maybe she was alive. Maybe they had her at gunpoint or something, but somehow they were able to walk all through there, down far into the woods. I mean, that's a good solid quarter of a mile down there, as they pointed out in the police report. And it's a pretty good little length from the actual road. Like I said, nobody at the road is going to notice this. This is a dense forested area, and you're just not going to see it from the road. The one thing I can't get out of my head is someone seeing them getting out of the vehicle or another vehicle coming to pick them up, because they would have had to get out of here somehow. Now, maybe they come out here and meet someone. Maybe they go through the woods, and maybe there's they get picked up there at the rehab place that we talked about earlier. We're going to drive up there, take a look at that now.
But look at how busy this road is. Like, ever since we got here, there's not really one clear opening where you don't see any vehicle.
Yeah, that's a very good point. There's cars everywhere on this road all the time. And for this to happen in daytime just seems crazy to me, but it appeared more than likely it did, since her car was spotted here at 5 o'clock that Saturday afternoon. Very strange.
And we're here on a Saturday as well.
Okay, we're leaving the crime scene now. We're going to take it down to Victory Home. We just wanted to show you guys how close it is to the crime scene. So there's the crime scene we just left. And as you you can see, it's only woods through here, nothing else. And I believe the first thing we're going to come to is going to be the rehab center, the Victory Home. All male rehab center here at Tallulah Falls. Chattahoochee National Forest. We're leaving now, and here's Victory Home thrift store where you can come shop for things, and the Victory Home. And as you see, I mean, it's a straight shot from Victory Home straight through the woods, back through there. We're gonna go right back to the crime scene. You can see a trail right there. You see that there?
Yep, I do.
I can take you right into the crime scene.
That's crazy. Crazy that there's a trail there.
But then you still got to explain how Debbie ended up there.
Exactly.
Now, there's a lot of things we don't know that maybe the police know and we don't know. Maybe the police don't know yet. One of those things would be, does Debbie have acquaintances up here? Does she have friends that go here to the rehab center? Does she have friends that live up here near Tallulah Falls, in Clayton, Georgia, in Rabun County somewhere? You know, could there have been an affair? Just throwing that out. They're not saying that that's what happened here, but it's a possibility, and that's why police have got to be looking through all these phone records, figuring out if there's any kind of acquaintance. Is there any reason why she would have met someone there?
Or was she even further north and she went to the casino? Harrah's Casino isn't that far away.
Right, she could have gone up to the casino for fun and come back down. Still, at the end of the day, it's hard to put her into those woods. Like, what brought her into those woods? What made her go make those purchases and head into the woods? Was she forced? Was she willingly? Did she do it willingly? We don't know. We have to get more information to figure that out. And that's why the police are having such a hard time with this case and trying to solve this case. We're now at the Walmart that Amanda would have come to look for her mother. We're almost sure about that. This is only 4 minutes away from that Ulta Beauty. But while we're here, we figured we'd kind of give our thoughts on what we think happened in this particular case, starting with Heather.
Okay, so I'm right there with law enforcement. I really don't think that it was an abduction or a suicide. I don't see an older woman, or any woman as a matter of fact, going into the woods and setting themselves on fire, taking off their shirt to kill themselves.
Yeah, that's a pretty valid point there. And I've kind of been all over the place in what I think happened in this case. Because at first, of course, I thought someone had killed her somewhere else, maybe at the house. Taking her body there, used the tarp to drag her in there. All that kind of made sense to me. Doing it at nighttime when there's not a lot of cars driving by on the road out there, so they wouldn't be seen. But that all kind of got thrown off when this Family Dollar video came out. And actually, one of the investigators said that threw them off. I think the word he used was it was a curveball for law enforcement. Like, that was just crazy that she went to this Family Dollar and bought the items that were used in her murder. So that threw me off. But investigators after that still said they still believe it is a homicide. They're still investigating it as a homicide. They're looking into possible suspects. So we'll just go with what law enforcement thinks for now, and we'll consider it to be a homicide.
And, you know, they have to have more information for them to think that.
That's a big key here also, is that investigators hold back information from us, from people in the public, from the news media. They keep things to themselves. I know the Eliza Fletcher case just now came out a few days ago that, hey, she was shot in the head. This was confirmed by the autopsy. Well, they never mentioned this back weeks ago when this actually happened, but they knew it. They saw the hole in her head, obviously, and they knew that that was how she died, but they did not want to release it to the public. Now, in this case, let's say if it was a strangulation and they saw some marks on her neck, then that would be an obvious reason to think it's homicide, but it would be something that they haven't told the public yet, so that's a possibility in this particular case.
And that would make sense as to why they wouldn't tell the public, because they don't want to tip off the suspects.
Yeah, that's very true also. They want to know when they're interviewing someone, what do they know from the public, that's out in the public, and what might they slip up and say that only the killer would know, and that kind of starts to paint a picture of who they're looking for. Now, go ahead, Heather.
And then also, if they also knew how they were killed and then they told the public, then they would know, the suspects, that they're closing in on them.
That's true.
They
too.
might try to flee or do something else crazy.
Right. Now, we don't know how closely they're watching any of these people. We saw that vehicle that appeared maybe to be a detective car over there at Steve's house today. We saw nobody around Amanda's house, but nobody's been home at their house. We drove by last night and then again this morning. We might drive by again this afternoon and see, but we haven't seen anybody there at all, unless they've taken the car and parked it somewhere else, as Heather did suggest to me earlier. Possibility there. So it's interesting who they're watching, who they're not watching, and who their real suspects are, who they really think did this. I certainly have my ideas of who I think it might be, but we're not going to name names because no one's been named, even a person of interest yet. If y'all enjoyed this and want to see some more true crime, please do subscribe to us. Hit that subscribe button down there. Otherwise, we hope you have a wonderful day.